I'm here with Bloom, my little plasma corn snake today, and today's video is going to be all on corn snake care. So corn snakes, I've said a million times, are my #1 pet snake for beginners. I think that they are just absolutely perfect in every single way, and I'm going to go over their care today. So corn snakes, one of the best things about these guys is that they really don't get too big. So that is very comforting for a lot of new beginner snake owners. They don't really want a huge snake because that's pretty intimidating. Corn snakes can get 5 to 6 feet, which sounds really insanely huge to some people, but actually it's very, very small. The males actually are usually like 4 to 5 feet, and they're very, very skinny snakes. Colubrids tend to be very skinny. They aren't like pythons or boas whatsoever. So you're looking at a typically way smaller snake than anything else. Another great thing about corn snakes is their handleability. They are very calm snakes. They can be a little bit flighty and want to get away from you, especially as babies. But as you can see, Bloom has calmed right down and they're pretty chill. They don't ever bite or show any aggression whatsoever. If anything, they'll just try to get away from you, but they know that you aren't a danger to them, and then they calm down just like this. And if you were to get bit by a corn snake, look how tiny this little thing is. It's not going to do any damage whatsoever. So when it comes to caring for a corn snake, you're going to look at probably like a 20-gallon enclosure for these guys. The babies can have smaller. You can also do a racking system in plastic tubs. I like to do more naturalistic enclosures for my animals, so I do have Bloom in a tank right now. I'm not sure what tank size it is. I think it's probably a 10-gallon right now, and I'll have to upgrade when Bloom gets bigger, but for now it's working out just fine. When it comes to the substrate for corn snakes, I use aspen and I find that it works well. I've had some rough sheds with Bloom, but that was because he had mites and I moved him out of his usual enclosure into another one, and he was just having issues with that, but he's better now. As long as you provide a large water bowl, it should be fine. If you do have issues with shedding, another good option to do would be to just give them a little bath. Put them in a little container, make sure there's a little bit of ventilation and just a little bit of water so that way they can submerge. Don't put too much so that way they can drown. And just let them soak, and then that shed will come right off. You should also do the same thing with the water bowl in your enclosure. You don't want it to be something too deep for them. Just look at the size of your snake. You want them to be able to submerge but easily be able to get out as well. And the water that you're using, you should use ReptiSafe with everything just to make sure that there isn't any chlorine in the water, because they will drink from that water bowl as well. So that's another important thing to keep in mind. So corn snake temperatures, you do want a hot side in your enclosure with a heat pad. They do need that belly heat in order to digest their food. So you want that hot spot to reach 85 degrees. And then the rest of the enclosure, there should be another side with a cool hide for them. And this is just so that way they can thermoregulate, and if they need the heat, they can go on the hot side, and if not, they'll go on the other side to cool down. Another thing I'd like to mention about corn snakes is that these guys are escape artists. So that's something to keep in mind. You do want to make sure that whatever you are using for their enclosure, that there is a very good secure lid for it, because a lot of people have lost their corn snakes in their houses, and that's something that you want to avoid because obviously you don't want to lose your animal. So make sure that the lid is very secure. But other than that, that's pretty much all you have to do. You just have to feed them once a week. Again, when you're feeding a snake, you want to feed them a meal size that is the size of the thickest part of their girth. And mine eats frozen thawed, so as long as you can switch them over to frozen thawed. Some may need live in the beginning. A lot of baby snakes eat live food, but I don't think corn snakes usually have an issue. They're great eaters. That's another thing that just makes them so amazing for beginners. Ball pythons are known to go off of feedings, and that can be really stressful for new pet owners. So again, with corn snakes, that's a plus because they're always going to be eating their food. Another great thing about corn snakes is the fact that they come in such a large variety of morphs, which are their colors and patterns. And Bloom in particular is a plasma corn snake, which is a sun-kissed and a lavender mix. And he's just gorgeous. I would love to get babies one day, but he's still a baby right now, so I'm just enjoying him for what he is right now. Again, there's a lot of different options to choose from with all the morphs, and that just makes it so much more fun when picking one out. So I can't recommend corn snakes enough. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Leave a comment, let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for watching. So this is Bloom's enclosure, and Bloom is actually right up here crawling around. So this enclosure I think is a 20 gallon, and there's a hot hide over there, and then the water bowl is over there. She actually goes underneath of the water bowl, so that's her cool hide. She has another little hide right there, and then just some plants around, and she has aspen. So yeah, she's a happy snake. And I keep saying she, but she is a he. It's another one of those situations where I'm never gonna learn, but there he is.